Well, it's not much of a consolation prize, but for the 31st consecutive season, the Yankees will go home without a losing record. Yanks improved to 82-79 with a win here tonight at Kauffman Stadium. Final score in this one, Yankees 5 and the Kansas City Royals 2. Estevan Florial had a go-ahead single. Gleyber Torres, 2 RBIs. That's 31 consecutive seasons dating back to 1993 when Buck Showalter was the manager. And when the Yankees' playoff hopes fell by the wayside and their long shot miracle run ran out of time last week, the Yankees focused their attention on at least not being the team that is remembered for snapping that streak. I mean, it goes back 3 decades, so you don't want to be the guys who couldn't get it done there. Aaron Boone said that his takeaway is we're going home tomorrow, but he's proud of the group. They handled some adversity in what was a very tough season for them, and believes that there can be growth as a result of all the trials and tribulations that this Yankee team went through. It did look for a long time like they actually may finish under 500, and that streak was very much in jeopardy. So that was not a given, that final outcome, despite the fact that in spring training, Yankees had their sights set on being a postseason contender, and a winning record was supposed to be a given for this team. Well, they got to 82 wins at least. They can try for 83 tomorrow. Frankie Montas made his return to the big leagues, 1 1/3 innings, said his shoulder feels really good. He looked healthy out there. And I tell you, I think that the reason Montas is up here is because the Yankees actually will consider bringing him back next year. And obviously it depends on what the terms of the contract look like, but there was a reason the Yankees traded for Montas at the deadline last year. Remember, they looked at his numbers against the Astros, specifically in Minute Maid Park, and they said, this is a guy who can help them win in a short postseason series. Well, Montas wasn't right. He was never healthy as a Yankee, and now I guess this is probably the healthiest he's ever looked. And yeah, you only got 4 outs out of him this season, but maybe they're open to a return engagement, especially with some of the other pitchers in the rotation, Luis Severino, namely, who is leaving as a free agent, likely. And there's some uncertainty, too. We don't know what the Yankees are going to get out of Carlos Rodon, out of Nestor Cortez, for example. One guy who I think they do know what they're going to get out of is Clark Schmidt, who finished off what was a pretty impressive season, considering he's one of the few guys, if you looked at this roster up and down in spring training, Schmidt exceeded expectations. Remember, he showed up as camp probably as the 7th or 8th starter, and injuries moved him up. He got an opportunity, and so Schmidt finishes his year 9-9 with a 4.64 ERA in 33 games, 32 starts. He said taking advantage of that was big for his confidence. He was up against the wall a little bit early on, made some adjustments, and really from the middle of May on was one of the more reliable pitchers on this team and around the division as well. 25 of his starts had 3 earned runs or less. So that's pretty solid. And so I think Schmidt is a guy that the Yankees can count on for next season. This game may have been a little bittersweet for Kyle Higashioka. This could have been the final game for Higgy, and he is under team control for next year, but the longest tenured Yankee, and actually you got to go all the way back to June of 2008. That was my 2nd year on the beat. Wow. So I only predate Higgy by a little bit. And so he's been around forever, knows all the players, knows all the coaches, front office staff. This actually could be a uncertain winter for Higgy, because if you look at the catching situation, you got Austin Wells coming up here. Jose Trevino is going to come back and be healthy. And plus Ben Rortvet's in the mix too. And so 4 catchers don't fit into that many spots. So Higgy seems to be a non-tender candidate. Said that he hasn't given too much thought to it, doesn't want to think too much about it, but he said eventually you retire or get traded. It's not going to last forever, and he's happy about the relationships that he's made here. So that's how game 161 wraps up. Guess what? Only one more on the calendar. Yankees will conclude the regular season tomorrow in game 162. Michael King on the mound for the Bombers. So that's the hokey pokey. That's what it's all about for the second to last time during this season. And don't worry, we'll talk during the offseason too. But that's a hokey pokey. That's what it's all about. See you.